Hello, I'm Coach Michael Taylor, and I want to welcome you to this episode of the Life You Were Born to Live video series. And one of the most important aspects of our lives are our relationships. Unfortunately, a lot of us really struggle with relationships, and there's lots and lots of information out there about creating great relationships. But I want to share a story with you that will serve as a metaphor for creating great relationships. And this is something that I want you to really pay attention to. You see, once upon a time there were these two friends, and they loved to sail. So they had this boat that they would sail around the world. And so they did this for many, many years. And then one day, one of the friends decided that he wanted to settle down. And he told his friend that he was tired of sailing and he wanted to find the woman of his dreams. And so it just so happens that they were sailing around and they stopped at this island. And as they got off the boat, the guy that was looking for the love of his life, he happens to walk across the street and he sees this woman. And when he sees her, he immediately falls in love with her. And so his friend, who's behind him, looks at him and he says, "What's going on, man?" And the guy says, "There she is. There's the woman of my dreams." Well, his friend looks across the street and he sees her and he goes, "Dude, she ain't all that, man. What are you talking about? That's the woman of your dreams?" He goes, "Yeah, that's her." And the guy says, "Hey, more power to you, man. If that's what you want to pursue, I wish you all the luck in the world. For me, I'm going to go sailing." So his friend gets on the boat and he leaves. The guy pursues the woman, gets a chance to meet her, starts going out with her, and he really likes her. So after a few weeks, they fall in love. After a few months, he decides that he wants to marry her. Well, on this particular island, there was a tradition. If you wanted to marry a woman, what you had to do was you had to go to her father and present to him cows in exchange for his daughter's hand in marriage. And on this particular island, royalty received 9 cows. If you were royalty, that's how many cows you would exchange to marry the woman on the island. And so the guy has to go to this father and say, "I want to marry your daughter." So he had to present him some cows. So he goes to meet him and he says, "Hi, sir, my name is so-and-so, and I'd like to ask your permission to marry your daughter. And I understand that you have a tradition that I have to exchange cows for your daughter. So I would like to offer 9 cows for your daughter." And her father looked at him and he kind of smiled. And he said, "Son, I appreciate the gesture, but take a look at my daughter. She ain't all that. I tell you what, give me 5 cows and we'll call it a deal." And the guy goes, "No, I'm going to give you 9 cows for your daughter, and I'm not going to give you any less." And so the father says, "Hey, okay, I accept." So he takes the 9 cows, he marries the woman, and they're living happily ever after. Well, a few years pass by, and his friend who was sailing decided that he missed his friend and he wanted to come back and see him. So his friend comes back to the island. And when he lands on the island, as he's walking through town, he notices that there's this huge parade. And there's all these beautiful women in this parade. And he's just like, wow, where did all these women come from? And so he noticed one particular woman that they were carrying on one of those little pagodas, or whatever you call those little things that they carry princesses on. And he notices this one woman, and she is hot. Boy, she's just gorgeous. And he goes, wow, there's a woman that I'd marry. So anyway, he watches the parade, go through town. And so he finally finds his friend, goes to his house, and they're sitting on the porch. And they're, catching up, how you been, what's been going on, and all of that. And so the guy asked him, he says, "Hey man, whatever happened? Did you ever marry that girl?" He goes, "Yeah, I married her. We were living happily ever after." and I'm really happy. He go, man, that's great. He said, you know, as I was walking through town, I noticed there's a lot of beautiful women on this island. And his friend said, yeah. Well, all of a sudden, as they're sitting on the porch, the beautiful woman that he saw when he was coming through town on a little carrying thing, she walks up to the porch. And the guy looks at her and he kind of smiles. And he goes, ooh. So the girl walks up the stairs, walks over to his friend, kisses him on the cheek, and says, hello, honey. And the guy's kind of baffled. He says, whoa, wait a minute. Were you the lady that I just saw being carried through town? She said, yeah. And he looked at his friend. He goes, but that's not the woman that you pointed out to me when I left. He goes, yes, it is. He goes, no way. That's not the same woman that you pointed out. He goes, yeah, it's the same woman. And so he looks at the woman and he says, excuse me, but what happened? And she looked at him and she said this. She said, all my life, people have treated me like I was a 2 or 3 cow woman. My husband saw me as a 9 cow woman, so I simply made the choice to become the 9 cow woman that he saw me as. I want you to think about that story, because it's a very powerful metaphor, because in our society and culture, we have a tendency to treat people like they're 1, 2, or 3 cow people. But my assertion is that we are all 9 cow people. And what we need is the support from others to help us recognize that we are 9 cow people. And so ask yourself right now, do you see yourself as 9 cows? Because if you see yourself as anything less, it's going to be difficult for you to create the relationship that I know you're capable of creating. Because in order to create a great relationship, you got to see yourself as 9 cows. And then you attract a 9 cow woman into your life, or a 9 cow man into your life. But you must first and foremost see yourself as a 9 cow person. And when you do, you'll be able to bring that 9 cow person into your life. So I want you to think about that story and post your comments below. Let me know what you think, and know that you are a 9 cow person. We'll see you next video.